Bloomberg Chief Washington correspondent Kevin Cirilli got the trade war view from Capitol Hill. He spoke with Republican Senator Bill Cassidy about what he thought of the negotiations with China.
If that's what it takes to get the Chinese to honor commitments and to come to the table for that which is fair to both countries, I'm all for it. I'm a free trader, but I am for fair trade, and I agree with the president on that. And the Chinese need to honor their commitments.
Well, precisely. Do you have any concerns about the impact that this would have on supply chains in your state in particular, and how these trade talks are impacting business leaders and business communities in your state?
I'm very concerned about that. But I'm even more concerned about the downstream effect of China continuing to bend rules, stealing intellectual property, using state-owned enterprises to produce excess capacity of you name the product, which then puts people out of work in my state and around the country. I am for free trade, but it has to be fair trade. And I think the United States is, I think President Trump is right. This is like the best time to step up, because after some point you no longer can.
Well, what do you say to Republicans in your party, and you know this, Senator, we've talked about this before, so Republicans within your own party who say, hey, wait a minute, these tariffs are providing economic uncertainty at a time in which the rest of the economy is rebounding?
I can accept that. On the other hand, you do see the economy growing at 3.2% GDP, and you do see the Chinese economy struggling a little bit. I would say this is the time to use our relative strength compared to the Chinese. And by the way, I don't wish ill on the Chinese. I just don't want them cheating the American worker. And we've got to stop that. Again, I am for free trade, but it has to be fair, because long term, if it is not fair, there are consequences for the American worker, and those consequences are bad.
All right, so you got the U.S.-China trade talks on one hand. You also have this issue of USMCA. Senate Finance Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, a Republican from Iowa, saying that so long as those steel and aluminum tariffs are in place, it's going to be tough for him to get Republican support to advance USMCA. Do you agree?
Clearly, Grassley's doing the head count, so Grassley says it's probably true. On the other hand, I do think we've gone a lot further with Canada and with Mexico than we have with China, and I do think that if Grassley's requesting that, that just makes it's probably an easier ask to reduce those tariffs now, because, again, we've come so far with both of them.
And what do you say to critics on the left who are concerned about the issues that this isn't progressive enough? I mean, it looks like you've got the business leaders in the Senate saying that they're concerned about tariffs, and then in the House, they're saying, the Democrats are saying that it's not progressive enough. Are you still confident that USMCA gets ratified?
Well, I can't speak for the House. On the other hand, I think the president made a clear effort to address the issues of auto workers who live in auto states. And so that's about the American worker. I'm not quite sure who Democrats are for if they're not for the American worker. I'm for the American worker and the American family. So I do think the president did his best to bring it, to improve it for such folks. Hopefully that'll be enough to convince them.
Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana there, speaking with Bloomberg's Kevin Cirilli.